I think about Triumphs, a picture of a classic, timeless, sexy beast is usually what comes to mind, because through the years, that's kind of what they've been known as. However, there's another side to the British brand. A side that is more performance-oriented and, of course, a little bit more technology. A side that is a little bit more hooligan. This is a Speed Triple RS. It's time to go beyond the ride. Powering the bike is a brand new 1,160cc inline 3-cylinder liquid-cooled engine that makes 180 horsepower at 10,750 RPM and 125 Nm of torque at 9,000 RPM. You get a lot of the top-of-the-line stuff with this bike, including Brembo brakes front and rear, as well as all-in suspension to keep the bumps at bay. Now let's talk about the wheels and tires. Over at the front, you have 120 by 70 on 17s, and at the rear, you have a 190 by 55, also on 17s. Now, these Pirellis aren't the stock tires of the bike. Triumph Philippines just wanted to try them out on this bike. These are the Pirelli Diablo Super Corsa. They still come with Pirellis, but this is something that they just wanted to try out and wanted me to try out, and it's got a little bit more rubber than the stock tires. Let's talk about the styling. Now, I love Triumph style, especially the Bonnevilles. That's really just my taste of motorcycles. This, well, it's extremely different, right? And somebody once told me that the headlight, as you can see over here, it's either you love it or you hate it. But honestly, I don't believe that, because the more I look at it, the more I appreciate it. I still don't love it, but it's kind of growing on me, especially at this angle. It does kind of look, it looks aggressive and it just looks very, very different, right? So it is aggressive looking, very sporty, and it does draw a lot of stares because it does look really unique. However, it's not as flamboyant as, let's say, a Ducati Street Fighter or a MV Agusta Brutale. I guess that's really the difference between Italy and UK. I do love a single-sided swing arm, and the bike, well, it's no exception, right? And the build quality and attention to detail of Triumph, always top of the line. It's a really, really good-looking machine. I love it. Now, you do get a 5-inch TFT display, and I think the size is just perfect, right? And it's, I think I need fuel. but you can see that the size is just right for the size of the bike. The TFT display itself, one of the better ones, I think, for motorcycles. I think it goes, maybe BMW has the best TFT display, and then maybe Ducati. This is right up there with the KTMs and the other premium brand TFT displays. So these buttons and switches here in the handlebar, they do light up at night, which is, of course, is very useful. And you navigate through the TFT through this little joystick right here on the left side. And it's very intuitive. It's not difficult to figure out your way through all the different menus that this bike has to offer. You do get a bunch of different riding modes as well. And I think it looks good because it is a TFT display, but it does show you a clock or a speedometer that's kind of has an analog feel to it, which I kind of appreciate. It's not just the digital numbers that you see just going up. So I kind of appreciate that. So Triumph is still, has that, I guess, classic feel to it, which is kind of different from the Ducatis and the BMWs out there.
But does it have a fuel gauge?
Yes, there is a fuel gauge. I do always complain about bikes that don't have fuel gauges. This has one. Of course, it does have cruise control as well, and you can actually also connect your phone to the bike. But that's kind of standard nowadays with more premium motorcycles. It's got a wet weight of 198 kilograms, pretty much the same as the MV Agusta Brutale 1000 RR. And just like that bike, the turning radius of this isn't very good. But you can expect that from super nakeds. The fuel tank capacity is 15.5 liters, and Triumph claims that you can get 21.1 kilometers per liter. Now, I got closer to 19 to 20 but maybe it's because I kind of enjoyed myself riding the bike. The seat height is 830 millimeters. I'm 5'6" with a 764 millimeter inseam. And that is the situation. Not too bad, not too bad at all. Now, the riding position, as you could imagine, in a super naked bike, is pretty aggressive. As you can see, it's kind of the rear set high rear foot pegs, and you are kind of going down, right? But what's nice about this is that you can stay close to the bike like this if you're riding in the city, and if you take the bike on the track or maybe on some twisties, you can adjust and move back a little bit here and be a little bit more aggressive that way. Let's do a quick sound test. I do love a triple. All right, let's talk about the seat first, as we usually do. It's actually very comfortable. You know, position is aggressive, but not too bad. If it had clip-ons, it would be a little bit more painful on the wrists, but this is not so bad at all. And like I said, the seat is, you know, nice and comfy, and you can kind of move around a little bit in it anyway. So this updated version of Triumph's Hyper Naked puts them back in the conversation with bikes like the Super Duke of KTM, the Yamaha MT-10, Aprilia Tuono, the BMW S1000R, you know, kind of like those. Maybe even the Brutale of MV Agusta. I still think the Ducati Street Fighter V4 is still the pinnacle of the Hyper Nakeds, right? So everybody else, I think Triumph is right there with, you know, in the conversation. But, you know, this bike just feels a little bit more refined, a little classier. I don't know if it's because I know I'm riding a Triumph, and that's why I think it has, you know, a little bit of extra sauce in it. The brakes are good, man. It's really, really good. I was told that when you squeeze the front, the rear brakes will also react, but not as much as when you just use the rear brakes. Just a little bit, just enough. So you don't really feel it, but when you squeeze the front brakes, the rear brakes also go off, but not strong and not as strong as you'd think. So it's something that you don't really notice when you're riding around and using the brakes, but it's nice that they have that kind of combi feature with the braking system. The bike is road focused. However, it is also extremely track ready. You know, the combination of performance, technology, handling, and of course the track specific equipment, and you know, all of that in the aggressive, extremely aggressive style, you know, this bike is something special. It really is. It's super nimble. And I actually got to use this bike in Kabyang when I borrowed a friend's bike late last year, or early this year maybe. And it is a twisties master, I have to tell you. I know we don't have video of it, but you know, you gotta take my word for it. It just handles the twisties like a dream. Like I super enjoyed it riding around and just attacking corners. It's fun. It's really just a super fun machine. And the power is there, I tell you. It's definitely something that, you know, even if you're not going on twisties and you're just, you know, on the highway, it's gonna feel like a dream. You know, it kind of feels like you're kind of flying in that sense because of the position that you're in, and you're just going. It feels really good, man. It's like I'm having a lot, you know, I have a lot of fun every time I ride this bike. And to be honest with you, I honestly didn't think I was gonna enjoy it that much. You know, I thought maybe it would be a little bit too aggressive for me. I might feel it, you know, in my back and my knees and whatnot. But I don't think so. I think it's actually, you know, a lot more rideable than one would think. You know, Triumph is typically a little bit conservative when they come to their bikes, you know, especially because they're really known for the Bonneville line, right? I mean, that's kind of what, you know, like I said a while ago, that's kind of what most people will think of when you say Triumph motorcycles. But I'm just so shocked that they didn't, you know, that this, you know, a bike like this is just not as, not something that people would really associate too much with Triumph, because they really do such a good job at it. It's, you know, even the younger sibling of this, the street triple, you know, which is kind of like the MT-07 version of this, if you want to say, that bike is really fun. It's really enjoyable. It's kind of similar to this, just in a smaller package. But this thing is like, you know, it's I don't know if you can, you know, usually when I say something is, you know, like a very beastly machine, it's something that's a little bit too much. This isn't too much. It's just in the, you know, in the sweet spot, and the fun factor is right there. You know, something like a Ducati Street Fighter V4. I think that's a little too much. Like, you don't really need all of that power in that bike riding on the road. You know, as I mentioned before in my other videos, the V2 version of the Ducati Street Fighter, I think that's in the sweet spot. This is kind of, it's not, it doesn't scare you. It doesn't scare you as much as you'd think, right? It's fine. It's definitely rideable, but it's not for beginners. Okay, this bike is definitely intermediate rider. If you're an intermediate rider, I think this bike is fine. If you're more in the beginner or just a couple of maybe a year riding, you know, think about the Street Triple, the younger version of this, or the you know, the smaller version of this. This is, you know, this can still get you in trouble if you don't know what you're doing. Now, I can filter with a bike. Now, riding in a city is actually okay, not great. Definitely not great. The turning radius of this bike, not awesome. But it is rather nimble, right? It's nimble, it's not that heavy. And because of the bar end mirrors, I can kind of, you know, go underneath, you know, the bar end mirrors goes underneath the side mirrors of some cars. So it's really not that bad to filter. Actually, it's kind of easy. But there are better bikes definitely for city riding. Of course, if this is just your daily bike, and if this is just your only bike, and you use it on the daily plus the weekends and plus, you know, attacking twisties, it's fine. It's definitely fine. It's doable to be your all-purpose machine.
So the verdict, it's a really, really fun bike. And the more I ride it, the more I appreciate its looks. Yes, it's not the best bike for the city, but it is perfect for the twisties and should be great on the track. I say should because I've never taken it on the track, so I don't know for sure. And on the open road, this thing is a dream. It's an awesome, awesome machine. But all that fun factor and tech comes at a price, as the 2021 Triumph Speed Triple 1200 RS starts at 1,225,000 Philippine pesos. Yes, it's a lot of money, but can you really put a price on happiness? For more information about this bike and other MCs out there, log on to www.motodeal.com.ph. This has been Jinno. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be on the ride.